Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down. Wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And we know we had a big night in college football. We had the second rankings announced last night. But we got to start the show with some breaking news. And we know who the breaking news is from, the Brooklyn Nets, as they hire a guy who was their interim head coach, now as their head coach, Jacques Vaughn. I think they played it safe here. After all the Kyrie stuff, they played it safe. They didn't want to deal with another week of scrutiny with hiring because they were close to hiring Udoka. They were this close to hiring Ime Udoka. But I think they played it safe here with all the Kyrie stuff last week, which was crazy. I think they played it safe, hired Jacques Vaughn, and now we'll see what they do. I mean, right now I think they're 4-7. We'll see what ends up happening. I thought the team made the right decision spending Kyrie, and that's another story for another day. But yeah, so Nets right now, they got their head coach now in place with Jacques Vaughn.
Yeah, I think for the Nets, yeah, it's definitely kind of the safe hire. They've played a lot better on the defensive end of the floor since he's been the interim guy. Again, with Udoka and with everything going on with the Boston Celtics right now, and I know it was Sunday night or Monday morning, Joe Assad, the owner, was getting a lot of backlash from, the rumors of they were going to hire him. So yeah, this was the safe hire. This was the better guy to go to at the moment. They seem like they play better, with them. So yeah, not a bad idea here. He's been with the organizations, for a couple of years now, so knows a lot of these players. So I think he's a smart hire. He was actually a candidate for the UConn job back 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, little quick because he's never coached in college, but I remember seeing his name back in 2018 as being one of the candidates. But good. I think for the Nets, this is the smart play to keep just to elevate Vaughn here and see how it works out.
Absolutely. I mean, if you hired Ime, it'd be another week of criticism after what he did in the offseason. Be another week of criticism, just like you did with Kyrie. I think now it's safe and you can get on with the season.
Yeah, absolutely. One less distraction here. Again, I guess when you do have Kyrie, there's always going to be a distraction. But I think this definitely helps the organization out a bit here, keeping them. And yeah, it's a smart one. Yeah, with going to Udoka, we don't have any information yet from the investigation or anything like that. So again, it's definitely the smart idea here to just go with Vaughn and let him coach.
Absolutely. So now let's get into the time you've been waiting for, the college football playoff rankings. And the second college football playoff rankings came out last night. Really no surprises yet. Obviously, had Georgia number 1, Ohio State and Michigan 2 and 3, TCU number 4, Tennessee, like expected, number 5, Oregon 6, LSU 7, USC 8. Top 8 I'm good with. The issue I have is that Alabama has 2 losses and Ole Miss has 1. I know they play this week, but they put Alabama ahead of Ole Miss. I didn't get that. And another thing I didn't get is, how is Clemson number 10? They should clearly be number 12. They're a one-loss team, and their loss was worse than anyone's loss. UCLA's number 12, and their loss was to Oregon, who's the best team in the Pac-12. Ole Miss's one loss was to LSU. Clemson's lost to Notre Dame, and they got destroyed. They lost by 3 touchdowns to Notre Dame, and they're number 10. And Ole Miss is number 11. Ole Miss is in first place in the SEC West. No, tied with LSU, but they're tied for first place in the SEC West. Clemson leads the worst conference in college football. How are they ahead of Ole Miss? Or in UCLA? I don't get that at all.
Because they're Clemson, and that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
Again, I even go a step further. UCLA and USC should kind of swap too, because UCLA's got 2 good wins against 2 top 25 teams. And USC hasn't really beaten anybody yet. They haven't beaten anybody, and they just gave up over 400 yards to a Cal team that's been mediocre at best offensively. So I think UCLA should be in the 8th spot right now. Then USC should probably be right there, 10, 11. Or I'd probably go 11 or 12 with Clemson. In one of those 2 spots. But Alabama, because they're Alabama, that's why they're sitting there 9th. Yes, they should be back, because, again, go back to last week. TCU, and even the head chairman kind of said, well, TCU, there's no balance in their game. There's no balance. But now, and then kind of said Tennessee's resume was much more complete than TCU's. But now, because they have 0 losses and Tennessee's got 1, you just kind of flip-flop them here. But then later down on the board, you don't do that. Again, it's another inconsistency by them. And then they complimented by TCU this week, saying, "Oh yeah, well they haven't lost yet." But that's another thing. But Alabama should be back again. It's just there's no consistency with these rankings, and it's that's been a problem for a while now. But that's kind of, I'm with you. The Alabama and Clemson, they both should be back, because Clemson's got no shot, even with 1 loss. There's no shot to make the college football playoff. And Alabama, obviously, with 2 losses now, they don't have a shot either.
The only way Alabama has a chance is if LSU drops their last 2 SEC games to Arkansas and Texas A&M. But if LSU beats Arkansas, Alabama's done before they hit the field on Saturday. The only chance they have is if LSU drops those 2 games to their last 2 SEC games, and if Alabama beats Ole Miss. That's the only chance they have, but they have a very, very, very slim chance of making it now.
Yeah, very slim. Even with 2 losses, I guess they knock off Georgia, I could see them sliding them into the 4th spot, which, I don't think they should be able to with 2 losses. But again, it's obvious Alabama. Yeah, they still have a slim chance. LSU, Arkansas, that's going to be a trap game. So I could see Alabama still kind of being alive going into Oxford Saturday afternoon. But it's ridiculous. Again, it's going to be good that you're not going to have to worry about Alabama or Clemson. It's going to be the first time since those 2 teams are both not in it. So it's great to see a new face in college football. More than likely Ohio State's still going to be there in Georgia, but and not having Clemson or Alabama is going to, that definitely helps the sport out a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So were you surprised that they had TCU ahead of Tennessee?
Yeah, I was a little bit, because I kind of what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Again, last week they didn't like TCU at all. They were kind of, the balance and all that. But now this week it's like, well, they have 0 losses. And last week they're like, Tennessee's, resume, they got a lot more wins, and TCU, they're kind of, the schedule too, like they like Tennessee's resume a lot more than TCU's. But this week now you flip-flop them. Again, I'm fine with having TCU at 4, but again, it's just another inconsistency by them. I'm okay with it, but it's just weird that not weird, but it just the inconsistency by the committee, that's been a problem for the last 7-8 years.
Yeah, the one thing they have been consistent about is a 2-loss team getting in, but really outside of that, there's been a lot of inconsistencies.
Oh yeah, that's the only one they really haven't. Yeah, the 2 losses. Yeah, we haven't really seen that yet. But yeah, everything else with the one with everything else with the schedules and all that, it's always been wonky with them. And again, you think one week something means more, the next week it's something else. So yeah, it's weird. You never know what they're gonna decide on. You never know, what data points they're gonna look at the most. So yeah, it's absolutely a weird thing, and it's something that you wish you could fix, but again, that's what happens when you have a committee of people here, and it's not computers, though.
Absolutely. I'm going to give 3 scenarios. The first one is say Georgia wins the SEC and goes 13-0. Ohio State wins the Big Ten. They beat Michigan. They win the Big Ten and go 13-0. TCU goes undefeated and goes and wins the Big 12 and goes 13-0. And then you have Michigan and you have Tennessee, both 11-1. Which team and say Oregon wins the Pac-12? Which one of those 3 teams would you put in the college football playoff?
For me, the one I would put in, I would have to put in the tough one. I'm gonna say if the Ducks keep blowing out teams like they have, I'll take the Ducks. The way they've been playing with Bo Nix, I know they may have to play Georgia again and they get killed. But I go with the Ducks or I go with Michigan probably. If Michigan loses a close game to Ohio State.
So you would take Michigan over Tennessee in that scenario?
If the committee sticks to the word here and says balance, their defense has been so bad that that could I could see that hurting them. I think they would go Tennessee over him. I think Tennessee would get over. I think out of those 3, Tennessee would probably be the 4. But I'd maybe put them forward just the way they talk of, if you want balance on both sides of the ball, Tennessee doesn't really do that to you. Tennessee's a team that they're going to try to, get turnovers and they're not good at stopping anybody. But again, the way the Ducks have played, the Ducks haven't had a close game in a while. They've blown out everybody lately. And again, if they do that against USC or whoever they play in the Pac-12 championship game, again, I don't think they beat Georgia, but I think that's a much closer game the way Bo Nix has played.
Yeah, definitely. But if it came between those 3 to me, I think it'd be Tennessee because they're an SEC team and their one loss was to Georgia, and Tennessee gave Georgia a better game than Oregon did. So if that was the scenario for me, my 4 would be Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, and Tennessee. That would be my final 4 if it came to that scenario. But another scenario would be, say, obviously Georgia wins the SEC, Michigan wins the Big Ten, TCU ends up losing one of these next 2 games, Tennessee goes 11-1, and Oregon wins the Pac-12. You would have to put 2 of those teams in between Tennessee, Oregon, and Ohio State. Which 2 would you put in?
I go Ohio State. I think the committee goes Ohio State, Tennessee.
Yep.
But for me, who is Ohio State being if they lose to Michigan, though? I would probably have to go
Penn State and Notre Dame, but they did play Notre Dame out of conference.
They did. But Notre Dame should not be ranked either. 6-3, and they lost to Marshall and Stanford. You got to be kidding me. That's because they're Notre Dame. They should not be ranked. They did beat Penn State on the road, which is a good win. Oregon would have – so they have a chance to beat Washington this weekend. They've already beat UCLA. They did beat BYU at home as well when they were ranked 12th. They, probably they'll get USC or UCLA, one of those 2 if they win that. I would put in personally, I'd go Tennessee and Oregon, but I would think the committee goes Ohio State, Tennessee instead.
I would go actually, if this was the scenario, I would go, I would probably go Ohio State and Tennessee. I'd probably go Ohio State, Tennessee. And I think, in both of my scenarios, Oregon would be left out. I would go Ohio State, Tennessee in that scenario. Now, the third scenario would be, say LSU beats Georgia in the SEC title game, so Georgia has a loss. We'll say Ohio State beats Michigan. We'll say that TCU loses the game. We'll say that Tennessee is there, and we'll say Oregon doesn't win the championship game. So this is probably the scenario that could potentially get 3 teams in the college football playoff. And I think if that's the scenario, I think 3 teams get in. I think that it's Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, and LSU.
Yeah, I would have to agree, unfortunately. I think college football will lose their mind. I'd lose my mind to see a 2-loss team getting in the college football playoff. I get LSU's played a lot better, but if there's still a 1-loss team out there, I think they should get in over LSU. But I'm with you. I think that if that scenario pans out, because especially how bad they lost to Tennessee too. Like I know like Oregon too got killed to Georgia, but that was week 1 with a ton of new coordinators, a new head coach, a new quarterback, and this was at home. Week 6 or 7 of the year, and you lost by 30 at home. I know they played better, but yeah, I could see that happening. I'd be very against it though, but I would not shock me in the realm of possibility to see that happen.
No, I think if that scenario happens, I think 3 teams get in from the SEC. But we got a big weekend in college football. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial, and we're going to hear from our friends at Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEG's Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEG's Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All right, we've got a big Saturday college football, and it starts in Fayetteville, Arkansas, as the Jaden Daniel and the LSU Tigers face the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I think this is a close, competitive game. I think both teams score a lot of points, but I don't trust this Arkansas defense. They have not played well all year long, and that's why I got Jaden Daniels and LSU. And if the LSU wins this game, Alabama has no chance to win the SEC West, and they are done. They are done if LSU wins this game. So I got LSU winning this game 31-27. But Justin, can Jefferson and Sanders have big games? Can Jefferson and Sanders have a big game and help the Razorbacks pull the upset?
I do. I think I get the Razorback win this one 20-23.
So you're keeping Bama in it.
Yeah, I am for a little bit now still, but I think a letdown's very possible here for LSU. I think it's a tough spot to come back after emotional win. 11 a.m. kick now against the Arkansas team that needs one win to get bowl eligible. They got Ole Miss at home next week and then at Missouri to close it out. So, probably could win at Missouri, but next week at home would be tough. I think the way Arkansas has run the football, I think they could keep LSU's defense on the field. KJ Jefferson's been banged up. He didn't practice much at all last week. He is this week. I think he makes enough plays. I think he hangs on the football. And I think Arkansas at home they find a way. It's a tough place to play. I think Arkansas bounces back after a bad performance against Liberty last week.
All righty. So now, if Arkansas wins this game still, even though Alabama lost, this game still has meaning as Alabama travels to Ole Miss to face Oxford to face the Ole Miss Rebels. And I think in this game, I think Ole Miss, I know they have one loss, but I think they're a little overrated. They got beat pretty badly, especially in the second half against LSU. I don't see Jackson Dart beating Alabama. I know this Alabama defense isn't as good as it's been in past years, but I just don't see Jackson Dart beating Alabama. I think Alabama contains the running game, and I think Alabama wins this one by. I think Bryce Young has a big week this week. I think Alabama wins this one by 2 scores. I got them winning at 34-20. But Justin, can Lane Kiffin keep Ole Miss in the college football playoff race?
I'm with you. I got the Tide bouncing back. I'm winning 38-31 this week. I'm with you. I think, Jackson Dart's, he's okay. He's not as good as Jaden Daniels or Hayden Hooker, and I think that's the difference in this game. I think Ole Miss is going to run the ball well. Jenkins has been a phenomenal running back this year. I think the problem in this game is too, look, Lane Kiffin went for it 6 times, I believe, on 4th down this game last year. He's going to do something like that this year, and he's going to fall flat on his face by doing it. And I think, Lane Kiffin too in this game could hurt his own team yet again against Bama. And that's why I do think the Tide find a way to go to Oxford and knock them off. And two, with Bama coming off a loss, I don't usually like to pick against Bama coming off a loss. Because, there's one coach out there that's going to, even if the game doesn't mean anything, there's one coach out there that's still going to motivate his guys, and they're going to go out there and play, and that's Alabama.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So big game in the Big Ten West as Purdue faces off with Illinois. And in this game, I think Chase Brown is a big game. I've seen Purdue get destroyed on the ground by Wisconsin and Iowa. This is what Illinois does. They run the football. I think they bounce back this week, and they beat Purdue. And I think they beat them by a couple scores. I got Illinois pretty much being in the driver's seat to win the West. I think Illinois beating Purdue 27-13. But Justin, can Purdue stay in the Big Ten West race?
I think they do this week. I got them going on the road and beating Illinois. I think, Jeff Brown's he's done a terrific job with Purdue. They looked horrible last week against Iowa. Jeff Brown's teams don't usually look as bad as they did. I think they bounce back this week. I think they play a lot better. I think Purdue slows down that running game enough. I think, they force Tommy DeVito to make a mistake or two. And I think Aiden O'Connell plays a lot better this week. I think he gets the ball to Charlie Jones, the big wide receiver. Again, played at Iowa, but never got any targets because Iowa doesn't use wide receivers at all. I think he has a big day, and I think Purdue goes on the road and finds a way to beat the rival.
We got Clemson trying to bounce back this week against Louisville, and I think I don't know who's going to play quarterback for Clemson. I think this is a low-scoring game that Clemson wins 20-13. Justin, do you agree?
I'm actually going Louisville here.
Wow, you're going Louisville.
Yeah, again, it's one team right now in Louisville that, again, going back to about a month ago, they played Virginia at home. Cunningham was out, and it kind of sounded like they lost this game. Scott Satterfield was going to be on his way out of Louisville. They end up winning that game, and they haven't lost, since then. And they've been playing really well. The defense has really stepped up and played well. Cunningham has really played well. Kind of like Lamar Jackson, not getting as good with the arm, but he's like a running back. He's just such a good runner. He's tough to stop. And right now with Clemson, they didn't play well against Syracuse either. They hung around, were able to do enough. They didn't play well either. I felt like against Florida State. Notre Dame, they got absolutely blasted. I think it's one team right now in Louisville that's starting to get it going, and one team in Clemson that hasn't really shown a lot the last couple weeks. And Clemson's number one wide receiver as well. Collins is hurt. He's got a separated shoulder. Don't think he's playing this week. I don't know who's playing quarterback. I'm going to have to take Louisville on the road this week to go. I know Clemson doesn't lose at home, but I don't like the way things have been going the last couple weeks for the Tigers.
We got Georgia heading to Starkville to face Mississippi State, and I know Mississippi State is 6-3, but Will Rogers has really, really struggled against the top quarterbacks in this league. I think he has 2 touchdowns and 2 picks in the games they've lost to Bama, to LSU, and which was Bama, LSU. Who else they lose to? They lost to Bama.
In Kentucky.
Kentucky. Gotcha. Bama, LSU, and Kentucky. Will Rogers has really struggled in this game, and I think he's going to struggle again. I think he is going to throw a couple picks. I think the running game for Georgia is going to be really good, and I got Georgia winning this by a couple scores. I got Georgia beating Mississippi State 31-13. But Justin, can Will Rogers have a big game and pull a major upset?
I think to be difficult. I got the Bulldogs doing this one 31-21. I think they hang around for a half. Mississippi State does. That's a tough place to play, especially at night. They play pretty well there. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Rogers makes a couple mistakes in this game. I think Stetson Bennett, he played really well last week. I think he makes some big plays in this one. And yeah, as you mentioned, Rogers hasn't been great. Yeah, against some of the top teams in the conference this year. And I think that continues against the Georgia team that is really going to get after them. Their offensive line's been, hasn't been great this year. I think Georgia gets pressure on them. And I think the Georgia Bulldogs find a way to get out of Starkville with the win.
We got big Pac-12 matchup in Eugene. Washington faces Oregon. And I think Oregon wins this game. I think they win it pretty handily. I think Washington's had, in the two games they've lost, Washington's given them a bunch of points against UCLA and Arizona State. I think they give up a bunch of points in this game. I think Bo Nix continues to play the way he has. I think Bo Nix stays hot. And I think they win it by 2 scores. I think Penix makes some plays, but he also makes mistakes. And that's why I got Oregon going to 9-1, beating Washington 38-24. But Justin, can Michael Penix end Oregon's playoff hopes?
I don't think so. I think they can hang around for a bit, but I got the Ducks win this one 38-28. Penix has played pretty well this year. He's looked really good. Some of the bigger games he hasn't been great, and I think that may cost him this week. Washington, I think, is going to struggle running the ball against a good Oregon defense that is 14th in the country giving up the run. And I think Washington, too, on defensively, Oregon's only given up 1 sack all year. I think Washington has trouble. I think, Nix has had a lot of time to throw the football and spread it around. I think it'd be tough, and I just don't think Michael Penix is going to be able to do enough. They'll put up some points, but I don't think they'll be able to score enough against this Ducks team.
Got the Battle of North Carolina on Saturday night as North Carolina travels to Winston-Salem to face Wake Forest. I think there's not much defense in this game. I think it's high scoring. I think it's back and forth. But I'm going to take the team with the quarterback that's playing better, and that's Drake May. I think I'll take Drake May to beat Sam Hartman in a shootout. I got UNC beating Wake Forest 41-34. But Justin, can Sam Hartman hand the Tar Heels their first ACC loss?
I don't think they do. I got the Tar Heels won this one 45-41. I was surprised this over-under was not at 80. It's at 76.5. These two teams do not play much defense at all, as you mentioned. There will not. I'd be shocked if both teams pump more than once in this game. Sam Hartman and that team, they've played pretty well. But the last couple of weeks, their offense really has not played well at all. 3 picks last week for Hartman. I think he had another 3 against Louisville. I think in North Carolina he plays pretty well because that secondary is horrible. But I think Drake May outplays him. I don't think he makes as many mistakes. And for how bad North Carolina's defense is, I'll take him to get one more stop than Wake Forest.
We got the big game on Saturday night, the Battle of Texas, TCU facing Texas. I think this is going to be a great game between these two teams. I think this is going to be a really, really entertaining game between these two teams. But I think the difference in this game is going to be Bijan Robinson. He's got 7 games where he's rushed for over 100 yards. I think he does it this week too. And unlike in September when they couldn't beat Bama, I think they finish it off against TCU. TCU has gone up to slow starts, and I think they might get off to another one, and this one's going to hurt them. And I think TCU loses their first game of the year. I got Texas beating TCU 27-24, but Justin, can Max Duggan and Quentin Johnson keep the Horned Frogs' undefeated season alive?
They very well could, but I'm with you. Got the Longhorns 34-31. Duggan and that team, they got to get off to a fast start again. Last week started trailing again against Texas Tech, found a way to win. Again, they get the stops when they have to late in the game. But it's a Texas team with Quinn Ewers who's been playing pretty well. That's going to be tough to beat going on the road. Miller in the back, Keandre Miller in the backfield. He's gone for over 100 yards in 6 or 9 games, and in all 6 of those games, that he's gone over 100. I think the minimum was like 120 rushing yards. Like, if they can run the football, Dewey could protect it, and Quentin Johnson, I think, is going to have a big day. They're going to get their yardage. I don't think the defense is going to make the big stop on the road in Austin to get this one. And this would be such a huge win for Steve Sarkisian to get this one.
Absolutely. And the thing about TCU is I think they're going to lose one of the next 2 weeks. at home in Austin and at Baylor. They have the toughest remaining schedule of any of these teams in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I think they do go to Texas or lose or even Baylor next week. Yeah, Baylor's defense is playing pretty well, and that team at home that's played pretty well, and they've started to really get it going the last couple weeks. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they get through this thing undefeated. I do think there's a blemish on their resume here either in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, because they've been getting behind like every single game and been coming back, and I just don't think that you could keep doing that and stay undefeated.
Yeah, I completely agree. 'Cause yeah, again, at some point that catches up to you, and it's definitely gonna catch up to them against a Texas team. Again, Kansas State, they got lucky where they got down to a third-string quarterback, and again, a couple other guys on both sides of the ball got hurt in that game, and they were able to come back. So yeah, absolutely, they it's tough to keep winning this way all year falling from behind. At one point, it's gonna bite you.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up the show talking about some UConn sports because they deserve our attention, especially the football team at 5-5. They got a big game at home against Liberty, and I know Liberty is good. They only have one loss. What chance do you give UConn to win this game on Saturday? I know that the formula's been run the football, play good defense. Can they continue that formula against Liberty?
They could, Liberty's coming off a win at Arkansas, maybe a nice letdown spot there for the Huskies. But I think it's to be difficult. Ole Miss has played 4 different quarterbacks this year, and they're still at 9-8-1. They're down to like their 4th-string guy this year.
You mean Liberty? Because Hugh Freeze is the coach.
Yeah, he's done a terrific job. I can't imagine that. He's gonna probably, if he wants it, he'll get a Power 5 job. This off's probably Auburn. I would think he's a favorite for at this point. But for UConn, running the football at Turner. Victor Rosa, the Bristol kids. The way he runs, if he was like 6'1", 6'2", I think he'd be down south somewhere if he really wanted to.
Really.
He's because he's 5'11", and I think that went overlooked him. So he was a couple inches taller. I think he probably would have been a 4-star. Probably wouldn't be here. He's looked really good. Houston, hopefully he's going to come back this week. But yeah, for UConn, don't turn the ball over, and be creative with their play calling as well. We've kind of seen some trick plays out of them. The penalties too have killed them at times. Again, they're gonna have to keep this thing low score. The weather's supposed to be pretty bad, or that tropical storm they call some of the remnants. Could make it a very sloppy game, which both teams want to run the football. So I could see it a very low scoring game, and I think that keeps it close.
That plays into UConn's favor, though. The way they've been winning this year has been running the ball and playing defense. And all their wins, they've given up less than 14 points. 14 points or less.
Yeah, no, they have. It's been great. And Liberty's defense, too, has been really good. And that's kind of what they want to do, too. Like, it's kind of 2 teams that are mirror images of each other. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Both teams, kind of are their strengths. It's kind of run the ball, playing good defense. And that's been huge for both of them. So, I think UConn keeps it close, but I think Liberty finds a way to pull it out. I think they just have a little bit more talent. Hopefully it's a good crowd there on Saturday, and people will get behind them. But it's been incredible what Moore has done, and in year one, and it's been impressive because these are all Edsel's guys. Like, I know they got some transfers and a couple freshmen in there like Rosa, but these are a lot of Edsel's guys, and they've played pretty well.
Yeah, do you think the formula that Moore has brought their defense and running, you think that's going to work at UConn in the next couple of years?
I definitely think it could. The way they're kind of independent. Again, next year their schedule's not bad at all. They could win. The way they played this year, I think they could get to 8-4 next year. I right now, you look at it, I think they could. They have NC State and Duke at home. I want to say they go to Tennessee in middle of October, but I think they could go like 8-4, something like that next year. I think it could work. Again, he's been good in the portal. Again, I know the class right now isn't great, but it's not finished yet. So, yeah, absolutely. I think the way they play defense, the way they run the ball, again, Turner, again, he was a guy that before he got injured his senior year, he had a lot of Power 5 offers, LSU, Miami, A&M, a couple others, and they kind of backed off when he got hurt. So this is somebody, and he went 38-2 in high school. Like, somebody's a winner. I think, the development of him is going to help. Later down the road. And again, they've missed a lot of the wide receivers, the top 4 wide receivers at one point. So they're starting to kind of trickle back in, but I think this definitely will work. And again, I've heard he's a candidate for the Colorado job. I I don't know if he's going to go back to Power 5, but again, hopefully he stays here. And I think, he could get this team to bowl games, hopefully every year. The way for how bad this team was, again, if they could get to 6-7 wins every year, we'll take it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we'll transition to UConn basketball. They opened the season on Monday night, beating Stonehill 84-54. But coming into this year, they did not have a great ranking in the Big East. They were picked for 4th behind Creighton, Villanova, and Xavier. Do you agree with them being 4th in the media poll, even after losing R.J. Cole and Tyrese Martin?
No, I had them 3rd. I had Creighton 1, Nova 2, UConn 3, Xavier 4. I think UConn. Again, watching the other night, RJ Cole's a big loss to the point guard spot, and Martin's kind of a do-it-all guy. Whaley was a glue guy. Whaley would do a little bit of everything. Whaley's probably one of my favorite all-time UConn fans in the last, since I, really been watching the last like 10, 15 years. I loved Whaley. But I think they're the 3rd best team in this conference. Creighton, again, very good. Nova is going to be very good when they get healthy. I think, what I saw from this team watching on Monday night, they have a lot more athleticism than they did last year, and the length there's too. And again, they have some shooters as well that could kind of spread the floor, and that helps out Sanago, even though Sanago, when he gets the ball inside, he still does not like to pass out, even when he's getting double and triple team. But I do like this team, and I think little bit disrespectful 4th, and I think for whatever reason everybody likes Sean Miller and that Xavier team. I'm not a big fan of that team, but again, 3rd right there. I think where they should have been spotted.
So they lost their two of their 3 leading scorers last year with Tyrese Martin and R.J. Cole. How are they going to replace them?
This year, they brought in a couple of good transfers. I felt like Tristan Newton coming over from East Carolina, who played pretty well. Naheem Ali coming over from Virginia Tech, who's decent scorer for Virginia Tech. Thought he played all right. They got Alex Crabon, freshman from IMG Academy from Mass. He shot the ball pretty well. He's going to be a sharpshooter this year. He's got a great stroke. I'm excited to kind of watch him play. And and Donovan Kling, the Bristol kid as well. The shot block. He had 3 or 4 block shots the other night. Again, I know competition get a lot stiffer at some point, but I really liked him. Again, the thing with UConn is, can all these guys defensively really, how are they going to guard defensively? And then I forgot about Hawkins as well. He got hurt again. Hopefully, it sounds like he'll be okay. But Hawkins he's a guy that he could be a 1st-round pick this year. I think, he's a really good shooter. The confidence got to be there. I think he shot it over 5 the other night before he got getting hurt. But Hawkins is probably going to be the number 1 guy or number 2 guy behind Sanago. So I think this year there's a lot more opportunities for a lot of guys, and I think multiple guys could beat you on, any given night. But again, they didn't shoot the ball great the other night, but I think that's only going to improve as kind of the season goes on, though.
So how much of an impact is Donovan going to make at center? We know how much he dominated Bristol Central last year. How much of an impact do you think he makes this year with this team?
I think he could have a really nice impact. Again, it's going to be tough for him and Sanago to play together, but just because I know Sanago's been improving his 3-point shot, but again, the spacing wise, you can't have those 2 on the floor. But for Donovan, again, they were not great defensively, and a lot of Stonehill guys got by their guy, and he rates a lot of shots with his length at 7'2", with his wingspan. He's going to reject a lot of shots, and again, he hasn't played a lot of man before this year. Like, I guess Bristol Central, he played a lot of 2-3 zone. So he's still learning the man-to-man principles and all that. But again, against a team that doesn't have a good center that could shoot, he's going to race a lot of shots. And he's got to get a little bit stronger, I think, down low offensively. But I think he's somebody, again, I think he played 20 minutes of the night. I expect against a more tougher competition, Sanago stays out of foul trouble. He probably plays more than 10, 15 minutes a game. And I think he could be a very good contributor, off the bench and give him a nice spark defensively with the way he can block shots. So talking about Sanago, what are his chances to win Big East Player of the Year? I think he's got a good chance. Again, the problem with him is at times is it's a black hole with him down low. He had 19 points in 19 minutes. Very good shot blocker as well. He had a couple turnovers, but he was 8 for 11 from the field. I think he's got a shot. Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to be very good. Pasha Alexander's back. Creighton's got a bunch of Ryan Nemhart, somebody that maybe could. Villanova's got a one and done guy, but he's hurt right now. And Cam Whitmore, he's going to be very, very good. He's going to be a lottery pick, I believe, this April or June. So I think they have I think St. Augustine got a good chance, especially UConn could get up there, finish first and second somehow in the Big East. I think he definitely does. He's got a chance, but him and Kalkbrenner, I think, are probably going to be the two guys that, could be totally right there, because there's a lot of good players in this league, but I definitely think St. Augustine could. But again, I think with the way they could space the floor this year, it's definitely going to help them.
Absolutely. Going to be very, very interesting to see what UConn does this year. And they'll be back in action on Friday night at 6 o'clock at Gamble against Boston University. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about Week 11 of the NFL season and Week 12 of the college football season. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Stinky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.